welcome to episode 53.
I think 53, yeah.
53 of Wrong End of the Stick podcast with me, Zach Eaton, and the boss, the ever stoic Jonathan Nimmo here with us today.
Well, I'm still here. I don't know how much I'm going to contribute to this podcast today, but I'm here. That's that's about as much. To be honest, that fits about my cricketing as well, because I don't think I contribute very much to a cricket team, but when I'm there, I am there. So, you've got the cricketing version of me today, that I am here. I may not contribute a lot, but I'm definitely here.
Well, the weather's been bad. I think everyone feels like they're not kind of contributing, but
nobody slept for like a week. It's been too hot, and now it's raining loads, and it's just been a crazy week or so, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think we got a relatively short, a shortish podcast. We've got like the first test.
Yeah, talk a little bit about the first test in Pakistan, and there's an ongoing test at the moment, or there's not been much play today. And then we've got a who could play that game that we haven't had for a couple of weeks, so we're going to review the game. And then we've got a couple of interesting little topics to talk about. You've been busily doing some bat care, haven't you? So
I have, yes.
And then we're going to talk about something utterly ridiculous, which shows about my mental state of something that I brought up the other day about some feature I think should be added to cricket, which is a bit ridiculous and frivolous, but I enjoyed the thought of it anyway. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then I've got a Seamingly Stumped for you. So
brilliant,
so
right?
Despite not having very much prep, we've actually got quite a full podcast, haven't we?
Yeah, no planning, but we've still got all that content, all that juicy content for you listeners out there.
I mean, it's absolutely classic, isn't it? If this is your first time you're listening to us, don't expect that when you go back, you're full, you get slick, fully researched episodes.
Oh,
this is pretty much it from us.
This is it. This is it. Like cobbled together, like probably misunderstood or misinterpreted information.
That's it.
And have fun with it,
That's what we bring.
That's what we bring.
So do you want to talk about the first test? I didn't see anywhere near as much of the first England-Pakistan test as I would have liked to have done.
So, I mean, to be honest, I saw like the second innings, and immediately it was so obvious that Pakistani's bowling attack was making England like uncomfortable. They had that 16-year-old 6'4" dude who was, like not predictable at all. I suppose when you look at like Archer, if you look at England's bowling attack and you look at Wokes and Broad and you look at Wokes and Broad, sorry. You look at Anderson.
I like Brooks and Ward. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, bro. You look at Wokes and Broad. You look at Anderson. You look at Archer, and they are, like all of the same vein, but still kind of seem as, apart from Anderson going into that kind of king of swing sort of thing, which, to be honest, is a very quintessential English thing, and not many people can kind of deal with it, and that sort of attack that we brought to Pakistan was actually like ideal. But then you looked at the bowling from Pakistan, and they were going over the wicket, around the wicket, they were going short, they were going full, they were going bouncers, the balls were doing all sorts of kind of things. The wicketkeeper captain in the background was, I don't know what he was saying, but like at times the field was all over the place. Like if you look at this test match, like the first test match anyway, in comparison to the West Indies test match that we recently had, it's a totally different game, and it's nice to see England on their toes, and I'm glad that we pulled through. That was an amazing run chase that we did to get through, and this is a really exciting match. I felt like the Windies one, it was kind of I don't know how to explain it.
I think once England sort of hit their stride, I think the result for the West Indies series was we were kind of confident that England were going to get there, and then the only way that England weren't going to win that series was if they tripped themselves up and made lots of mistakes. And once they kind of hit their stride a little bit more, you felt fairly confident, particularly going into that last test match, that England were going to going to get there. With this one, you feel that even with England at their best, if Pakistan can really bring it, then we could be in trouble.
Yeah,
And I think
I don't
that's,
feel confident with the next kind of two matches. Like, I'm glad. I mean, usually we do like, you know, we'll say what the score is and try and do a little bit of predictions. I wouldn't. I don't know. I haven't got a good feeling about this one. I don't know how it would go.
I'm going to just pause for a second because we've got again some live breaking news, which won't be live by the time anybody listens to this, but still, is that England in the sort of just flicking to the second test where England are on day 2 now. So Pakistan won the toss, chose to bat. It was rain delayed yesterday, and they got to. They got to this morning 158 for 5. But Babar Azam has just been got out by Stuart Broad. He's nicked one and through to Buttler, who's caught him out for 47, and that's a huge wicket because now going back to the previous test, Babar Azam looks like an absolute monster with the bat, doesn't he? He looks as if he's going to be, up there with, to be honest, I am expecting him to take the place of Joe Root when they're talking about the top 4 batsmen in the world. You're going to talk about Steve Smith, and you're going to talk about people like that. I don't think Joe Root is going to be in that conversation for very much longer if he continues the form that he's had recently. But I think Babar Azam is going to be in that.
Yeah. I mean, I've said it from the beginning though. Like, I think since Root's been captain, because I've been like not trolling, but like looking through YouTube videos, and when Root was up and coming, all the videos and all the form and everything else like that has completely changed since he's our captain. And I think you can look back at like episode 39 with us, and I've said like heavy is the head that holds a crown. And me and you, we've had conversations in and outside of this podcast about, all right, well, who would be like a better English captain? But Pakistan's. Go on.
No, I was just going to say that is it. And in some respects, if Joe Root isn't the right man for that job, then you should take it off him no matter what. You shouldn't be just keep him there because you don't have anybody else. But on the other hand, the thing is, I just don't want Ben Stokes to be captain. He does almost everything already. And I just don't want that pressure added to him. And beyond him, I don't see that anybody else is ready. I really don't. So it's a really tough one for England, and you can see why they are sticking with Joe Root. But I do think something needs to happen with Root because he's just not in the best shape. I mean, he got another 42, but he gets 40 or so, 30, 40 runs, and then he gets out, and that's just been the case for so long with him now. It's just it's not great. I mean, there are good signs in terms of Ollie Pope really did well in the last match. He scored some good runs, and Josh Buttler. I mean, Josh Buttler is possibly the most controversial figure in the England team at the moment. He gets a lot of hatred, but then he got in that run chase. He got 75 off 100 balls, and that really is great. But then he cost a lot of runs with his, drop catches and missed stumpings and things. He cost runs as well. So his keeping
hasn't been great in this test, and everyone's like, oh yeah, Buttler, the dangerous counter attacker, and you think, okay, well, like that last test with Pakistan, okay, great. Like we saw the Joss that we all know and love.
The problem is we don't see that often enough.
We don't see it often enough. Exactly.
You see it once in every 10 test matches, and that's not enough to keep your place in the team. So it's a really tough one with him. If he was in just for his batting, that's one thing. But he's in there as the keeper, and that really, a really good keeper can save you, 40, 50 runs very easily. And that's the question is, if somebody like Fawkes was in there, who isn't as good a batsman at all, he's not going to get that. He will get you he'll average somewhere between 30 and 40, but he's not going to get you big, quick counter-attacking runs. But how many runs are he going to save you being, I think, fairly undoubtedly the best keeper in
Yeah.
in the country.
I'd
So
I'd drop Buttler and I'd drop Anderson and I'd have Folks and I think Buttler and Anderson.
mm,
I think yeah, Folks definitely in place of Buttler. And then I look at Anderson and I mean he's the biggest wicket taker, in terms of pace for bowling than anybody else. But
mhm.
like if we look at the West Indies test, if we look at the performance in the first match against Pakistan, I'm kind of like, do we need him? Do we need Anderson? Do we need the magic man in there? Like,
It's a really difficult one because I think, particularly in English conditions,
mm,
he is the best in the
yeah,
world.
100%. I
The,
agree with you
the
100%.
the problem is when you go abroad, he's not. He never has been particularly great. He's not world class abroad. He is undoubtedly the best in England, but once you go overseas, he's not. And do we want to get some of the younger guys in? And I suppose that's what they're doing. They have rested him for some tests and things, and Sam Curran is now starting the second
Yeah,
test instead of Archer. So there are people sort of knocking on the door. But I think with Anderson you play him until he quits because I think he's earned that, to be honest.
interesting. Yeah. Okay.
And I
So,
think you just go with it until he decides to call it a day. Yes, you rest him for odd ones here and there.
mm,
Probably more for that. You rest him more when we're traveling again. But I think he's earned the right to just keep going until he wants to call it quits. And there's rumours circulating that that's not far away.
yeah,
Um, so
interesting.
it could
Okay.
even be after this series. We'll see.
Yeah. I think I don't know. I think from me as a person that like has come to love cricket and love the game, like I don't look at things as historically as maybe other people look at it, and you know like I just look at the past performances, and we had injuries and like not being on, and then when he was on, not taking wickets or
Mm.
taking like one or two wickets, and then we look at the Windies, we look at Pakistan now, and I just think we just give him a break then. Like, yeah, he's earned it, like he's earned being on the team, but you know maybe with that Pakistan like top order, throw a bit of Curran at him, like
Mm.
throw a bit more of Wood, throw a bit more of Wokes at him, because that seems to be doing the job. And Anderson, king of swing, it doesn't appear to be doing, which is mad, by the way,
Mm.
because if you think of the conditions in Pakistan and how dry and how static it is out there, and the pitches that they're playing on, like Anderson should be in his element. So I'm not saying like, oh, Anderson's lost his foul. I'm just saying like, for the king of swing against Pakistan on England soil,
Mm.
to not be taking wickets against the West Indies and Pakistan, I would be like, mm, yeah, maybe we do need a bit of a switch up. But I totally get where you're coming from, and saying, no, damn right, yeah, he has done it. So,
There we go.
God,
Well, let us
there we
know
go.
what you think. Get onto the Twitter. We're at Wrong End
Yeah,
Podcast, and tell us what you think. Are we totally wrong? Have we totally got this
yeah,
out?
let's know.
But it's an interesting one, and it's looking like this is going to be an interesting test as well. I think this series is going to be a really interesting series because I think they're both quite closely matched teams overall.
Oh yeah,
And
definitely.
that's really interesting. So we shall keep an eye on this test match as it goes through. But yeah, Pakistan currently 161 for 6. So England with a couple more wickets could wrap this up nice and quick, and we'll see where we get to after that.
Mm,
Interesting.
mm.
Right. Anyway, shall we move on to some of our other fun stuff?
Yeah, let's move on to some fun stuff. Did you want to do two can play that game, or did you
Let's
want to do?
let's do two compare that game.
Okay, cool.
So this week, I played it for like a day before I got annoyed with it. We have been
Yeah,
playing Cricket Megastar.
yeah,
Um, So, what have you thought of that?
Um, like when I logged into it for the first time, I was like, okay, this is cool. There's a measure of when you time your strokes, and you can swipe up, down, left, or right. And then I thought, oh, okay, cool. This is where I kind of need to be. And you pick a little profile with like 6 really generic Neanderthalic looking dudes. Um, and then you play 5 minutes of it, and then that's it. Like that's the game. And they say like, okay, the next level is score 12 runs,
Hmm.
score 2 boundaries, score this, and you know you start to realize actually whatever you swipe, it doesn't really matter as long as the timing's okay. And the timing, as long as you're swiping it when the ball is like from halfway all the way down to your stumps,
Yeah,
like you're good.
yeah.
Um, so the late and early stuff, mate, it's a solid like 4 out of 10 for me.
I,
It's not a good game,
I'm not even sure it gets that from me, to be honest with you.
really.
It's just, I mean, of all the issues you've described are exactly the same. And the thing is, it's quite a good premise in
Mm,
terms of, oh, you start like this lowly person, and you've got to work your way up into other through the levels and all the rest of it. So it's a fair premise, but it just doesn't follow through at all. Everything you've said is absolutely spot on. It's just far too easy, and it just doesn't have.
yeah,
Yeah, there's just no. After 5 minutes, you're literally like, oh well, this is like the easiest thing
this is
ever,
it.
and
Yeah,
I can do this every single time. There's no challenge to it whatsoever,
yeah,
and you just keep
yeah.
knocking through it, and it's just far too easy, and I gave up. And there are other games that use a very similar premise, but it's the gameplay that lets it down completely.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I like if you look at the graphics and you look at like how it is structured, like they've got such the good idea because actually, like visually, it looks like a really good game,
Hmm.
but like the mechanics from ball to bat, they're just awful.
Yeah,
Like they're just really bad. Like if you are a cricketer or even someone that's interested in cricket and you're like, okay, I'm going to swipe here because I want the ball to go over here. There's no maneuverability from the bowls, like from the bowler's end.
hmm,
And as far as the bat's concerned, like all you need to do is just swipe,
yeah.
and you've got
It
like a
literally
three
doesn't really matter
seconds
what
either
direction or
side.
anything. Yeah,
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It will just go to the right way as long as you've hit it at a correct time. So yeah, like
I think actually, if you took do you remember the game we tried out a couple of months ago now, which was beach cricket?
mm,
If you
oh
took the
yes, yeah,
gameplay from that, combined it with the sort of premise of this one in terms of, you can work your way up and transfer from different teams and this, that, and the other, I
mm,
think it'd be perfect. But the gameplay on this is just like literally. I mean, that was it. I'm literally uninstalling it as we speak now because I want nothing more to do with this thing. It just
yeah,
drove me mad. Um, so yeah, yeah. There's better out there. I think is the overall message for me. But yeah, I think four is generous. I think 2.5 for me.
wow, 2.5. Yeah, I mean, I'd say so. Like between 2 and 4. I mean, mine is at 4 because I liked the visuals and I
Mm,
liked the intro. It's just the gameplay let it down so much.
yeah,
It was completely awful.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, let us know what you think. If you've downloaded the game and had to go on it and think that we're wrong,
We're
then
not.
we disagree. Yeah,
Yeah, we're not at all.
100%. Yeah,
But yeah, give it a go. See what you think.
give it a go. Let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, do you want to do? Okay, so do you want to do back hair or do you want
Yeah,
to
you
do?
do your bat stuff because given we're actually going for a reasonable length time here, we may even
Okay,
save my other one for another day because
okay,
it is
okay.
very frivolous. So we might save that for next week's one because
So
I can come up with a bit. I can do a bit more of a feature on it if we leave it till next week. So yeah, you do yours.
okay, right. So back hair today. Um, I think it's been like 2 weeks since we last recorded, right?
Yeah, and then probably and the
Yeah.
mitt, I think. So yeah, it's been a while.
So the last time that we were recording, you probably didn't hear about this, but basically my skipper for Salisbury had an old Adidas Libra bat going, and I was going to buy it last season, and I ended up buying it this season. And 2 weeks ago, I bought this bat, and he was like, right, 60 quid. I tried my haggling skills, and I said 75 if you knock it in. He was like, no chance, mate. I'm with my in-laws. Here's the bat for 60 quid, like raw kind of thing. So I did my YouTube research, and you are going to hear like anybody that's new to cricket and gets their first bat and is like, right, I've got to, bat care. You are going to get so many like YouTube videos that tell you so many things differently about whether or not you oil before knocking in, or like you hit the edges at a 30-degree angle, whether you hit the middle first, whether you hit the edges and toe first. So I'm going to just tell you my experience and just say, like, out of all of those YouTube videos, what the what the kind of recurring similarities are, so you at least know the general right direction to go in, because it is mad. Like, so I got a kind of 6 grain like Adidas bat, and Jim, my skipper from Salisbury, gave me this bat, took it home, and the first thing that you do is to oil the bat. So I ordered from Amazon. Well, my mum ordered from Amazon Prime, because she's got Prime because she's such a bougie lady. Um, you can either go raw linseed oil, or you can go specialist bat linseed oil. I don't really know what the difference is, but it doesn't matter. Apparently out there, some people use like olive oil and other kind of stuff. You just need raw or specialist bat linseed oil. Don't go for anything else. Foolishly, I went for a cloth on the first kind of coat. So I dabbed, a fair bit. I would say like a tablespoon worth of linseed oil onto the rag, and then smoothed it over. If you look at some videos, and probably the advice that I think is probably the best way to go is to use a finger, because if you're using a rag with linseed oil, the rag is going to absorb a lot of that oil. So whatever you put on the rag and then start to spread out onto your bat, it's not going to be an accurate representation of actually what you've done. You don't need a lot of linseed oil, which is, the fantastic thing. So, I put a couple.
What does the oil do? Have you
Oh,
any idea?
yeah.
After all your
So,
research, what does that actually do for it?
so basically, like um, if you think of like a raw bit of willow and the wood that's involved in, and they kind of, and you get like a bat, like they do a lot of work on humidity and pressing and all of that kind of stuff, and you've got this bit of wood basically. And just like anything, if you like the fibers in this willow, like they're still pretty brittle. Like it's a dead bit of tree, guys and girls. It's a dead bit of tree. And so with the oiling process and the knocking in process, what you're doing
I
is
apologise to all the bat makers out there, but
it
yeah.
is. That's what it is. Like it's a dead bit of tree, and if you knock it with enough force, then it's brittle. Like people will say, yeah, heartwood and softwood, like it's all just it's dead wood, right? So you oil it, and the oil doesn't go all the way through the bat. The oil just coats pretty much the surface in this lovely way, and what it does is it it helps to bind the fibers on the outside of the wood, and you supplement that with knocking in. And what it does, all these fibers that are apart from each other, and when something with a lot of force hits it, it's more brittle and it can break. The oil and the knocking in process compresses those fibers. So when it's taking a lot of force and
As
me
in
and
when
Nimmo,
you're hitting a cricket ball with it.
yes, exactly, when you're hitting a cricket. I mean, me and Nimmo, we play Sunday league, so we're not going to get 90-mile-per-hour balls at us. But you know, like what you need to do is you need to condition that wood to, if it is getting hit by a, even a 50-mile-per-hour medium pace left armour, um, you just want to make sure that that wood is compressed enough so if it gets on the wrong angle, it's not going to chip away, because a chip or something like that, as soon as you've got a crack, a chip, if you don't look after it, it is really going to affect the whole, um, the whole condition of the bat. So yeah, I mean, it's a long, but to be honest with you, everyone that's listening, as far as I'm concerned, if I paid 90 quid for a bat, then I shouldn't have to be dealing with this. Um, do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, it does.
me,
You pay a lot of money for that, and then you still have to do a lot of stuff to it to make it right. But that's just one of the
right?
quirks of cricket, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, it is. I mean, me and Jonathan, we got like a starter set between us. So we got pads, we got gloves, and we got a bat. We got a Ghost Kookaburra bat, and we took it off for somewhere to go get knocked in. And this is the first time that I've had to knock in a whole process, and the process is, anyone listen, it's long, but at the end of it, you do feel like you're a master craftsman. Like you
Yeah.
do feel like, you know, because I've oiled it after 2 hours, after 4 hours, I've knocked it in. There's no dents, the edges around it. Like it is a really satisfying thing. But at the same time, like if you're new to cricket, don't pay like, 400 quid for a bat and then forget to knock it in because
Yeah, you will regret that.
you
You'll
will
definitely regret
totally
that
regret
very
it.
quickly.
Totally regret it. Um, So yeah, I mean the knocking in process. So that's pretty much what the oil and the knocking in process does. It's compressing those fibers in together. It's conditioning the wood ready for high impact and being able to take on that kind of toll. And after I've knocked in the bat, and I spent about kind of probably about 5.5 hours knocking it in from edges into middle. And by the way, guys, if you're doing like people say, okay, you go from middle to edges or you go to edges to middle. Um, the only consistent thing that I've seen from all the YouTube videos is that all you need to remember with knocking in is that the intensity and and like the force that you use on the knocking in needs to just gradually, steadily increase. It, from what I can see and from what I can feed back is it doesn't matter where you start. Some people will say start on the edges, both edges, the toe, and then the middle, almost to the splice, but not the splice underneath it, and then down to the sweet spot. Others will say start from the sweet spot and, you know, uh, like dent the edges outwards towards the edges and then finish on the toe. If like two professionals are saying two different things, the only thing that's consistent is to start lightly and then gradually increase the force. And actually, the wood will behave. You'll be able to see the wood behave in like a different way. Once you first start increasing the force, there'll be dents, and actually, you can, as you continue and increase force, you'll see the wood condense. Make sure the edges are edges rounded. Put your anti-scuff. Put your bat tape over the top, and you're good to go. Only for nets, though, apparently. So that's where I'm
Yeah,
at.
the next stage after that is to use it old ball in the nets, and that just finishes the process off nicely, and also makes it look not too new. Because that's the other thing. You don't want it looking brand new going out to the middle, do you? You know that you don't want to be that guy. So you
I'm totally that guy.
got to get some marks on it and get a bit of red on there, and you know,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. You don't want to be that guy.
yeah. I'm so totally that guy. Like after this 2 weeks of back care, I feel like I'm some kind of
I mean, you've been
makes
sending
it.
me videos of how to make your own bat. You've
Oh,
got
mate,
massive ideas.
yeah.
We could start the wrong end of the stick. Company of our own equipment line. Eh?
Oh yeah, 100%. If you want your bat, by the way, if you want your bat knocked in, I'm happy to send it over to me, and I'm quite happy to do it. I've got some grey nickels, oil. I've borrowed a mallet from one of the boys at Solbury. Send it over. I'll deal with it.
Excellent. There you go. What an offer. What an offer. What more could you want? Dear. I know you don't ask how much you charge for that either, but
Oh
still.
no, it's free, totally free.
I don't
Yeah.
offer that service.
Oh no, I'm putting it out there live. If you want your bat knocked in by an unprofessional person who literally
He's learned everything he
still
knows in the last 2 weeks by YouTube.
literally still swings his bat like a golf club, then send it over and I'll deal with it. 100%.
There you go. What more could you want? That is an offer I don't think anyone is going to take up. But wow, there we go. Oh wow. No, that was good. That was good. You've learned a lot and you've imparted wisdom, which is, I think more than we
Oh,
can
it's a weapon.
probably ask
I
for.
can't wait. I can't wait. The game this Sunday has been called off because of weather in Milton Keynes, and anybody that's listening to England, we all know what the weather's been like. So it's been called off, but Um, I will give you an update the next time I'm able to properly use it because it is pretty much primed and ready, and I'm so excited to
I'm
use it.
so fearful of that first time you use it because I think you're just going to go out there feeling like, top of the world, and I think it's going to go horribly wrong very quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
I hope it's not. I hope it's not. I hope you go out there and get your maiden half century with it. I think that would be a very fitting for the time you put into it.
Mm. I mean, to be fair, like the sweet spot on it is quite high, so it's not really like the bat itself isn't really suited to me at all. Like that's the funny thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like anybody that's listening, if you are buying a bat and people talking about like pickup and like where the sweet spot is and an oval and round handle, don't stress yourself too much with all of that jazz. Just know, like, if you're a golf swinger like me that looks at the ball and just full on, full arms out in front of you, smacks it, then you're going to need a middle to low sweet spot where the swell on the back of the bat is going to be like middle to low. And if you're a cutter, if you're a proper cricketer, then you wouldn't be listening to us anyway. Um, so
Yeah, so nobody knows what they're talking about listens to us, so it's fine. So
so the sweet spot is going to be like up and up where you can cut and pull really like it will bounce off that top edge of that top proportion of your bat. But that's what it is. We'll do some back care after the winter as well. Nima, let's go into seemingly stumped because
let's
I
do
feel
it.
like
Let's do it
yeah.
because it's descending into chaos at the moment, and you're right. No one who knows what to listen to is who knows what they're doing is listening to it anyway, so it's fine. So we're all good. Right. Okay. This is just a backup one that I've had stored for a little while. So, and I think it's going to be relatively easy. I think you're going to know what it is. But
Okay.
seemingly stumped for you this week. For anyone who new, this is where we take cricket terminology and we test each other's knowledge on what it means and try to guess if we don't know. So for this one, for you, it's a buffet. So what is a buffet in cricketing terms? It is nothing to do with tea. I'm going to lay that one out for you right now.
A buffet. So a buffet for me feels like it's going to be like a batter taking advantage of poor deliveries to me.
Mhm.
Like a buffet is like a new batter coming in and smacking a load for like boundaries and sixes and just taking advantage of
Mhm.
like a bowler. Is that's all I can go. Is that close or? Oh,
Oh
okay, right.
yes, that is it. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
but yeah. So it's really buffet bowling, and buffet bowling is just quite poor level of bowling that makes it really easy to score runs from.
Okay.
So yeah, that's it. Pretty much spot on, to be honest with you. Yeah, so it's just somebody who's just it's a spell of not very good bowling that the effectively the batsman can just take his pick of where he wants to pick his shots and score runs from. So yeah,
Like that.
absolutely smashed it. And
Ooh.
I think us bowling is a very good example of Buttler bowling, to be honest.
Pretty much.
So,
Yeah. Hit
but
it
yeah,
where you want.
nicely done. I like it.
Okay. Here's your one then.
Oh, you've got one. I didn't think you had one for me.
I did.
I was relaxing. Oh,
No, I've got a cheeky one from back in the day that
go
I
on.
don't think I've used.
Go on.
A tisra.
Of what? Sorry,
A tisra.
a tisra.
Yeah. So do you want me to spell it?
Yeah,
It's T-E-E-S-R-A.
but that's got to be something similar to a doosra. There's got to be a connection there.
Okay.
Um, so it's got to be something like. Is it something like the wrong end? So is it something like an off spinner's leg spin? But I'm not sure why it's different to a doosra, to be honest with you. But it's got to be something like that. The ra bit means it's got to be something connected to the doosra somewhere.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
yeah, so I'm going with it. It's a spin bowler's ball that goes the other way. Why
Okay.
it's
Well,
a T, I don't know. But yeah, that's my guess. I don't know. Yeah, how's
okay.
that?
How's that? So it's you. I don't really know, to be honest with you. You've done a good job, I
Right.
think, of
Am I in
breaking
the
it
right
down.
ballpark but not quite nailed it?
I think so, yeah. I think that is. I'm gonna lay out the description for you,
Okay.
and then you can take what it is. So the tisra, also known as the jalebi, is a particular type of delivery by an off-spin bowler
Yeah.
in the sport of cricket, which renowned off-spinner the
Excellent.
the ball is simply an orthodox back spinner. So you're looking at basically it's an off-spin
Yeah.
delivery, but instead of it being off-spin, it's actually going backwards.
So it's like an off spinner's, it's back spinner as opposed to a top spinner, I guess. Yeah.
Exactly, right? So you're just getting, I'm guessing you're just getting a bit of more pop from that backspin as opposed to just, traditional off spin.
Yeah.
So that's a tisra as opposed to the doosra, which
Yeah,
is
the
forward
doosra
spin.
is really, yeah, it really changes the direction of it. This is really kind of changing sort of it is going back spin as opposed to sort of top spin. Yeah,
Exactly.
that makes sense. Well, I was in the right ballpark, so I'll have
You were in the right ballpark.
half a
Yeah.
I'll have half and half.
I like the ding and then the double as well.
Yeah, so I'll take half of that because that's yeah. I was in the right arena, but without knowing exactly. But hey, that's another good one. You're on form
That's
with
a good
picking
one.
these. Yeah. Cool. Well, I think we should probably wrap up with just one final bit of news.
Yep.
Is that Jimmy Anderson's just picked up his, I think, third wicket of
Good
the
man.
match so far, and he's taken Yasir Shah out for 5. So Pakistan are currently 173 for 7. So it's looking good for England at the moment.
It is looking good.
They just need to get out and get some runs on the board. We need some early runs from Burns and Sibley, and we'll be in a good position for this test.
I hope Burns.
If the weather allows, of course.
If the
I think
weather
a draw is
allows.
probably odds on here, but if weather allows,
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think a draw is definitely on the cards. But if we get the weather and Burns and Sibley settle, and then you've got Root and you've got the rest of those bad boys and the youth coming up. Oof,
yeah,
we've got a good chance. We got a good chance, but only if they can settle into Pakistani's bowling attack.
yeah,
If we can do this, then yeah, we're good. We're good.
good stuff. Right. Well, I think that is us for today. So thank you very much for listening. If you're still with us, then kudos to you. You've done well. And if you would like to get in touch with us, please do. We are on Instagram and Twitter at WrongEndPodcast, or you can email us wrongendofthestick@hotmail.com. give us a nice little review wherever you listen, and we'll be back next week. Yeah, I think we're going to get back into more of a routine of doing this regularly. So yeah, next week we'll be back with another. Cool. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon, guys. Take care.
Bye.